Good afternoon. I know it's a long day, but there was a lot of interesting discussion that we had, the morning sessions and then the afternoon. I will talk about the rationale for high-speed interconnect. And the last two speakers, they were mostly talking about the intra-chip network. And I'm going to talk about what is going outside. And there are a variety of technologies, and I've had the history of being involved in many industry initiatives, creating new technologies and new interfaces. And why we need to have these interconnects. These are all complex things. We need to keep adding those complexity. The other one I'm going to cover is USB 3.0. It's a very interesting technology, and in Taiwan I thought it's a relevant topic because there are lots of customers here use USB 2.0, and many of them are moving to USB 3.0, and I thought it's an interesting topic to talk about. The third one is IP adoption as well as integration. Now, what are the challenges of adoption? This is very important because for concurrents, to make profits, you have to think about doing things at the same time. And if you are designing a chip, you do not have the time to really create all those IPs. In fact, this morning they mentioned that the wafer or the die can hold a lot more transistors than that is being actually used. So that means we are underutilizing what is already there. And part of the reason is it is very difficult to fill it up. There are so much of design is needed, so many IPs are needed, and we just don't have the time to create it. So maybe if we can overcome the adoption, maybe there's a way that we could increase our profits, reduce the design cycle time. But that required ecosystem, that requires partnership, that requires collaboration. There are many things are happening inside the chip. The processing power is, in terms of DSP, CPU, the requirements are very high. It is going up. The software requirements are increasing. The connectivity to outside world, in terms of memory, in terms of other networking elements, they are increasing. Also, the complete integration. We are talking about the die can hold so many millions of transistors, and then to make use of the inside the die, you need to somehow communicate to outside. At the same time, if you look at, you need to reduce the space. If you have more pins and more cables, that means it's going to be expensive system. You want to reduce the die size, and you need to reduce the space. You need to reduce the power. The bigger the die, the more transistors, more leakage power. So you have a chip that is going to be burning a lot of watts, and you want to reduce that. And overall, if you look at the chip cost and system cost, you need to reduce that. And now there are a couple of ways that you could do it. One is SoC integration. We call it system on a chip integration. You make it a single die. The other one is you can do a system packaging. So there are two ways. People attempted both, and maybe there are benefits on both. But one thing is clear: for many of the applications that we are talking about, the mobile application, for example, the entertainment application, it's impossible to do it with packaging. You have to do it with a system on chip. And I've listed here, some of the benefit of SoC approach, some of the benefit of packaging approach, and many of the times I've evaluated, while SiP provides a good approach, the SoC is kind of for reliability in terms of power, in terms of the cost, that is the only solution. So you really don't have a solution other than integrating to an SoC. You know that the 4G network is out there. LTE is kind of overtaking WiMAX at this point of time. And if you look at the next generation network rollout for wireless access, what people are doing, they are going to create this chip, put it out there, and ecosystem has to take care of the communication. And the compliance, interoperability, everything has to be guaranteed by the industry or the IP provider, or they have to spend a lot of time creating this interface, and by the time it's too late for them to be in the market. This chip is a monster. I mean, look at the amount of processing capability, DSP, and the interconnect that is integrated into the design. And again, all of them, my experience is it takes still about 18 months. It is not taking 3 years, 4 years time. All has to be done in almost the same time. So just because the complexity is increasing doesn't mean that there is more time to do it. It has to be done very similar time scale. USB 2 and 3, and I will talk a little more about USB 3, but that is again very popular interface. MIPI. Now MIPI is for the camera interface and the processor interface on the handset, and it has become pretty popular these days. And one other interesting thing is all the networking, how things are happening, evolving the networking side. Now it is slowly getting into the consumer side. And if you look at the network, we all started with probably 1.25 megabit per second, 2.5 megabit per second, went to 5 to 10. I expect it to go to 20, 40, 100, and so on. And the consumer is just following the same thing. So the MIPI is the first one, is a serial interconnect, very similar to the PCI Express packet-based interface, and that is the first one. And there is a new generation that is happening called UniPro, and I expect that to continue for some time. This is where I mentioned about now you have to think about subsystem in terms of IP. So what are the adoption challenges? The first one is integration, and everybody talks about the biggest issue is integration, because when the IP is created, it is created with a standard in mind. It is created with some knowledge of your application, but you are the keeper of your application. The IP company has some knowledge, but they don't know everything about all the hardware, all the software, all the customization, all the corner cases that is required for the IP. So integration becomes challenging, but it's very important that customers and IP supplier work together. Second one is quality, and this in terms of in terms of the defects, in terms of the verification. There are a bunch of things that you can think about. Third one is verification. Availability of third-party verification IP is key, and that's another way that you don't want to completely trust the IP that you get, but you need to have some independent way of verifying this IP. Here, everybody is aware of USB 2.0. It is already shipped 6 billion units, and I think in a year basis, it is 2 billion per year, the USB 2.0 shipment. And it's expected to grow even faster. Now, the new one is about 10x, and this is the similar. USB 1 to 2 was almost 30 or 40x. Now, second generation 3.0 is 10x multiple in terms of data throughput. Backward compatible in terms of more power, that means longer cable. Very similar footprint in terms of connectivity. New power management and new transfer modes that's available. And why the super speed? I think 2-3 things I have seen. One is video, the requirement for HD video transfer, whether it's from mobile phone, for various different applications, whether it's TV, set-top boxes, all of them. HD video is a good candidate where the 3.0 makes sense. The second one is storage. In fact, the people who adopted 3.0 first is the storage, whether it's a flash or HD storage, they have adopted 3.0. So if you are in that business, you already have 3.0, and then of course the PC. And I am also seeing interestingly on the mobile handset, there is adoption of 3.0, because as you know, the mobile phone, you are taking videos, HD videos, you are delivering to a TV, you can use it as storage. So there are many applications of the mobile phone. One of the most challenging integration in terms of IP, the software is very thin layer. USB software is very important, and especially just work with Windows and get a logo certification, so that you can, anywhere you go, you plug in that USB and it works. This is great, and this is where the complete integration, verification, validation, interoperability, it's very important. And again, the challenges that we are look at, integration with the verification IP. There are third-party verification IPs out there. Integration with the software stack, again coming from the independent companies, or you are making your own stack. The other one is the PHY, the physical interface, the 5 gigabit per second PHY, and that has to integrate with the controller. And then all of them is to integrate with whatever these two gentlemen talked about, the internal bus architecture of the chip. And all of them need to work together seamlessly, so that when you go someplace, you go to a hotel room or you plug in that USB 3.0, it works. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it. So thank you.